Hey guys, Joebizz34 back again to do another quick review, and it's been a long time since I've done a review based on a commercially released figure, especially a Sideshow figure. I have not always been too pleased with Sideshow's offerings in recent years, but I will say that every so often they come up with a gem, and they've had some few successes recently, namely with Evil Dead Ash, which I do not have because I do have the Beta Mortali version, and this one here I'd like to consider a success to a certain degree, and some of their re-releases, like this Bossk right here, which I'll get into in a second, where they're kind of redoing some of their older figures, which in a little bit it could be a cop-out and a double dipping, but I'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to show this figure here because this is sort of like a limited edition figure that was only offered through Sideshow, and I guess some various retailers did get a couple here and there because I was lucky and I ended up getting this in the aftermarket for almost the same price as when it was new from Sideshow's site, which I'll explain. So anyway, it is Luke Skywalker from Empire Strikes Back in his modified X-Wing pilot outfit to be more warm and for the SnowSpeeder look. So it's the SnowSpeeder pilot outfit technically when he was in pursuit with his rebel friends against the AT-AT walkers in the towards the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, after he survived a little Wampa episode with Han stuffing him into a tauntaun. So this was seen throughout the film on Hoth, and when he arrived on Dagobah before he changed into his Bespin outfit, as they call it. So you could go a couple ways with this figure, and here's the alternate head sculpt that comes without the helmet on. You can, I mean, if you wanted to customize this, which normally, if this was just a regular release figure that you could just kind of get, you know, fairly easily, I might have done that. I do have a custom SnowSpeeder Luke that I did a while ago. I think people remember seeing pictures of it. If not, you can go back and you could take a look. I showed it in one of my videos, and I have pictures of it, I think, you know, out there on Facebook or Sideshow, whatever. But anyway, you know, I had frosted them up and I made them look all snowy and icy and stuff. And I had used a Hot Toys Bespin Luke head, a spare one. And I used one of those, I forgot what they call the helmets that you can get that were just like helmet props. And I split it open and put the head in there. And it was a much better helmet than the original Sideshow one. And if they would have had these, that would have solved the problem back then. And, you know, I had painted I got a jacket that I painted orange and made it this kind of jacket. And then I used the Hasbro X-Wing outfit, and I put together a pretty cool looking custom of him, and I've seen others do it as well, and they're all come out pretty nice. So now you don't have to do that, but you can go two ways with something like this if you wanted to customize it. You can, you know, obviously keep it clean, which I am, and I'll explain why in a minute, or you can go the dirty, muddy look and make him more of when he was on Dagobah, and at that point I would actually probably just use it with this head, you know, the unmasked version, because when he arrived to see Yoda, and once he crash landed with R2-D2, he didn't really have his helmet on at that point, right? So you can go that look, or you can go the Hoth look and ice and snow him up just like I did with my custom one and go that route. In this case, because this figure is sort of rare, believe it or not, and he's become quite a collector gem, I'm not going to touch him. I'm going to keep him pristine and just kind of keep him clean because, first off, for some reason, I don't know what it is about this figure, I like it clean. It has a very cool museum pose quality to it, I think. It's simplistic. The outfit, I think, is very well done. Now, this figure got really bad reviews when it first came out. People were really down on it, and I understand because, you know, the knee-jerk reaction with any Sideshow figures is to trash them at this point because they didn't always have the best, you know, quality control with their figures, and they have weird bodies, and they don't quite compete with other companies like Hot Toys, for example, and you know, but yet they raised their prices. Now, this was a fairly expensive figure, you know, for its time. But, again, what you get here, I mean, you don't get a lot in accessories. I mean, you get a couple extra hands to hold the gun and stuff. You know, you get his gun, which I have in his holster there. You know, you get the lightsaber hilt or with the blade, so you can have him holding his lightsaber. You get the extra head sculpt, and like I said, extra hands. I have his extra shooting hand here in case I want to change it. Everything else is in the box, and you get the typical stand, which for some reason, I don't understand what Sideshow's doing now, because they have a plain black stand. They did the same thing with Bossk, but yet underneath, has the Star Wars. Like, I don't get that. Like, why not put that on here? And anyway, I guess you can. It's a blank slate, so you can do what you want. Maybe you could put your own custom decal on it if you want. So anyway, it comes with the white Rebel Hoth outfit gloves and the gray gauntlets or the gray sleeves there. The belt is pretty nice. I mean, it's pretty close to Hot Toys' version. They really upped their game with it, and they've made it a lot closer to Hot Toys than their original, Star Wars figures that they had years ago. So I give them points there. It's a little delicate. I had to do a little glue work here, and this hose tends to come out of the pocket. So, you kind of have to kind of retuck it in. You see here, it's supposed to like kind of go in there. And I had a little trouble with the little metal hilt that came off, so I glued it back on. And to be fair, I've had those same issues with Hot Toys' belt too. So they're fragile, they're delicate, they're small. So, that kind of crap's going to happen, but that's okay. So I found this on Hobby Link Japan in the aftermarket right before the holidays, and they had it on sale. So with shipping and everything, like I said, I paid maybe slightly more than what it was on Sideshow. But, Sideshow, I think, if I remember correctly, they had this guy for $245 or something like that. And then with shipping and all that, you were talking, close to $300 for this thing. And so I could see where people griped. And once again, people complained about the Mark Hamill quality, although I don't think it's that bad. My only critique on this is what I would say is that this kind of has more of a New Hope Mark Hamill look than it does Empire Strikes Back. But if you wanted to use this for like a New Hope custom, like maybe on a Stormtrooper or something else, I could see that. Now, I don't really care when it comes to this one and it comes to the other X-Wing pilot one that they did recently that I reviewed last year. I don't mind because I go for these looks, and under the helmet, it looks just fine. With the helmet and his chin brace there and the microphone and the goggle protective glasses he's got on there with the helmet, you don't really need dead-on likeness to get the point across with a figure like this, if you're going to go with this look. If you're going to go with this, then I could see maybe having a little more reservation about it, or maybe getting a custom head sculpt then, or using maybe one of Hot Toys' head instead or something. But for the sake of this pose and in this outfit, I think he looks great with the helmet version, and the outfit overall, I think it looks great. The other complaint I've heard is with the arms. Now, yeah, I've heard people have already said, swap out the body, put a Hot Toys body on, put the Hot Toys Bespin boots on it. Okay, that's fine and good, and I could do that. But because this figure is kind of hard to find now, and it's kind of gone up so much in value, I don't think I'm going to mess with this one. I'm satisfied with the way he looks as is. I really do think he looks great. The jacket, the details, the costume, I think is really well done. I even like the way they got it right with the different color oranges, because if you notice in the movie, and it's hard to tell with the special editions and all that, but if you look at the original Empire Strikes Back movie, or you look at a clear copy of it, the jacket was a lighter orange than the pants. The pants is obviously his original X-Wing uniform, right? And then he's wearing the warmer jacket over it because of the cold. So the jacket is not a perfect match to the actual X-Wing pilot suit. At least it didn't come off that way on film. And they captured that perfectly, because if you look very closely, the tint of orange is different going from the jacket to the pants. Now, the other gripe that I've heard with people is the body, and I think the body's not bad. I think Sideshow's made some improvements with their bodies, even though they're still not perfect, they're still not Hot Toys. But he is supposed to look kind of bulked up and bundled up in this outfit, so I don't have a problem with the thickness or the shape of the body. The only issue is the arms, and one guy commented on Facebook about it looking like monkey arms, and he said to change it to a Hot Toys body. Now again, if this was a regular figure, I would do that. And he did that with his, and his picture looked fantastic, and kudos. Again, it doesn't bother me enough to go through the effort, and because, like I said, this figure has gone up in value so much and is considered a collector's item because there wasn't many of them made, and I think because it was considered a failure by most, Sideshow probably figured we're not going to bother reissuing it or making more, even if they had planned. I think I think at this point, this figure has become a bit of a conversation piece, and I don't want to mess with it. And I can't believe I'm saying that about a Sideshow figure, but the same thing like with Evil Dead 2 Ash. Like, that figure became very popular late in the game once people realized, hey, you know what? This isn't half bad, And they started buying them up and they started selling out, and now they're gone. Same thing with the Beetlejuice figure. It's still a conversation piece, even though the head sculpt is considered horrible. But a lot of people grabbed it because the body and the suit, the outfit and the accessories were cool. And they figured, if anything, they can use it as a base. So again, I don't think Sideshow's value is completely off. I just think it's a matter of taste, and I think it's a matter of, you know, what you could salvage from it. In this, to me, it's a complete figure. Now with the arms, the one tip I would give is, what I noticed with Sideshow and their bodies, same thing that happened with Bossk here, and I'll get to Bossk in a second, is that a lot of times when the figures come out of the box, out of the, you know, their Sideshow case or whatever, the body's not set right. And I think that if you spend a little time to futz it, you'll find that it can go a long way. So, for example, when this came out of the package, the elbows, the placement of the elbows, which is right here now, and that's where it should be, naturally. If you look at a human arm, right, the elbow is always towards the back of the arm, right? And then the wrist and the hand can turn, and, you know, so, you know, this is basically the natural order of things, right? And a lot of times these figures, especially Sideshow, have a habit of packing their figures where these arms are twisted, right? And the elbows are like either on the side or in some cases on the front. Because like I noticed even with Bossk, like I bought him secondhand, and I got a good deal on him too, and I'll get at that, but his elbow was turned completely the wrong way in the packaging, so his arm would bend backwards. And I'm like, what the hell? And then, you know, when you twist it around, so you have to really take your time, and you have to kind of like really figure out like body placement. And if you take a few minutes to do that, you'll find that it makes a difference. Because when I first opened them and stood him, I was like, yeah, his arms look weird. It didn't look natural. And some may argue that it still doesn't, and that's fine. That's personal preference. But again, what you do is, by, you know, and not just the arms, you have to make sure that you replace the coat. So in other words, when you notice that check where the elbow is actually and where the arm is bending, okay? Swivel the arm underneath the clothing so that the elbow is facing in behind him, okay? And that it bends naturally in this way, right? Then make sure that you twist the clothing back to normal so that the clothing is positioned right, even though you twisted the arm. You don't want the clothing twisted with the arm. So you try to twist the arm underneath the clothing, then you futz the clothing back around so that the clothing is in the right spot, but with the elbow back here. You do that for both arms. And then same thing with the knees and the legs. Make sure the knees are actually placed, the kneecaps are actually forward this way. Because another thing I noticed is that they're twisted around a lot too. And once you have that kind of motion, then you take the wrist, and then, you know, once you twist the arm the right way, the hand might be like this way. Then you twist the hand so that the hand is out on a natural side pose, like so. Okay? And then you have that natural human arm hanging look. Okay? And I noticed, and again, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying it's a lot better than when it came out of the package. And some people may be quick to cause judgment because, you know, you buy something, you spend money on it, you want to pose it, you want to be done. You may not care or notice these little quirks. So if you take a little time, adjust the elbows, and then adjust the clothing accordingly with the positioning of the hands, so that the hands are facing like on the side. Unless you have them in some sort of action pose, then you do whatever you got to do. And same thing with the legs. You know, oop, he almost fell. You make sure that the legs, you know, the kneecaps in the front, and make sure that the feet are kind of like, let me put them out of there. They're kind of pointing outward, you know, like that. They're not like just like kind of like, you know, front. You know, in this way, again, you start to get a little bit more of that regular human, natural looking pose. And I have him kind of tilted looking upward because, you know, I'm envisioning the scene when he's kind of, you know, looking up and seeing the AT-AT walkers coming towards him, or after he gets out of his X-Wing and he's about to reach for his lightsaber and do the grappling hook thing where he climbs up, you know, he rides up and then he cuts the door open and puts the bomb in the AT-AT to blow it up. So, again, very nice figure. Now, let me quickly get to Bossk. I bought Bossk secondhand off somebody who was selling them on Sideshow Freaks, and it was a really nice deal. I got it for a little under what it was, and the guy was very honest and nice. I mean, he had a little trouble with the clip on the gun, and there was a little paint discrepancy, I guess, on the leg when he got it from Sideshow, and you could see it very faintly. And he told me, he said he was being picky. There's some scratches on the base, too. I'm not sure what that's about, but I could cover that up with a little paint or put something over it. So I don't really care. But he had contacted Sideshow at the time, and they gave him a replacement leg. So I don't know if I'm going to go through the trouble because, again, you can barely see it. I mean, you could see it at the camera level a little more than in regular view. Like from a regular eyeball view, I can barely see the marks there unless you hold it up like in light. But again, you know, he told me, and he said he never got around to putting the replacement leg on, but I guess I could pop this off and put this on. So, again, this is the new version of Bossk. This is Bossk 2.0, and really where the big improvement is the eyes and the paint app on the skin. He's got a much... I mean, I have the original Bossk that Sideshow came out with the Bounty Hunter lineup a while ago, a couple years ago. And I wasn't originally going to get this, but I really love Bossk, and I did like the improvement because this is far more accurate. And there's the box, as you can see, typical Star Wars box. There it is, Bossk. And like I said, it comes with the extra, you know, hands. Here's the extra leg that he got from Sideshow. Here's extra hands, like relaxed hands. And then I have on his gun. Getting him to hold the rifle is really tricky. You have to understand and accept the fact that you're not going to get his finger or his claw, lobster claw finger, whatever, into the trigger, which I thought that's what you were supposed to do. But he holds it, I guess, like this, with the gun kind of resting on his one claw finger there or whatever, and then this one kind of supports it from there. And if you look at the box, that's kind of how it is there. And I had to look at a couple pictures to kind of get a grip on that. The outfit and everything else is pretty detailed, very delicate. Be careful with handling him. There are pieces that fall out, like this kind of fell out in the box, and I had to put this back in his leg. But, you know, easy fix. Very good. I mean, again, the articulation's a little awkward. It's a Sideshow body, but it's Bossk. You're not really going to do much with Bossk. You know, you only saw Bossk appear once in the movie, and he was just kind of standing there. So as long as you get him in a cool pose like this, that's all you really need. You know, as far as the details and the quality of the outfit, I would say they're on par or the same as the original release of a couple years ago with the the Bounty Hunter, whatever they called, the Bounty Villains or something. They had called that line, right? The Scum and Villainy or something like that. And like I said, I have that one too, and that comes with the light up base that matches Boba Fett's base and all that. And like, I never got the Boba Fett re-release because I didn't really care, and at that point I had done my own Metacom mix, and I'm starting to buy the Hot Toys ones now. Hot Toys, I'm sure, is going to do this guy eventually, and they'll probably do it better too. And, you know, at that point, I'll make a decision. But for now, this is just fine. And really, with the detail of the outfit and the paint app and the head sculpt looking a lot more accurate than the original one, I don't really see a need to upgrade him again. I don't really see too much of what Hot Toys would do. And the original release came with that alternate head where his mouth is open and roaring with his tongue. I didn't get that. That was an exclusive. But, you know, unless you're into like the expanded universe of the comics, that's really not movie accurate to anything. So I really was never interested in that. So this one does it for me. And the quality of everything is pretty much the same as the other figure. And they didn't really do much there. And the stand is like plain vanilla now, like this one. But again, the paint apps and on the skin, the scaling, you know, the scales, and his eyes, mainly the eyes, are painted much more accurate to the way he appeared in the film. So, big improvement there. You know, could you take your original Bossk and just find a head and pop it on? Maybe, but then you would probably have to repaint his arms and legs to kind of match that new, you know, paint app or the pattern. But other than that, it's not an expensive figure. And if you can find one used or loose, or maybe if you don't have any Bossk, then I would say get this one if you're in the market for one for sure. If you have the old one, you know, it's a give or take, it's, you know, pass or grab. I don't know. I can't really say for sure. It really depends on what's worth it to you. I always had a love for Bossk, and I love the scene in Empire when he's in the Bounty Hunter lineup. So for me, seeing the improvement in his sculpt was enough for me to rebuy it a second time. Not everybody may agree, and that's fine. So I really think it's personal preference whether to rebuy. But as far as the quality of the figure, the quality of it, the feel of it, the clothing, everything is pretty much the same as before, minus the new paint app. So that's pretty much it there. Now, I got one more thing I wanted to show you real quick that's cool that would go with this theme, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I just wanted to show this real quick. Now, as you know, Sideshow did a good job, I think, too, with the Tusken Raiders. And I'm curious to see if Hot Toys ever tackles that too, which I'm sure at some point. Now, this is where I could see although I think they did very well, I could see room for improvement, because a lot of people complained about the color app of the cloth and the body, once again, being a little awkward, and yeah, they didn't have the best body. But again, it covered a lot of stuff. Now, I want to show you this here. This is a custom. Now, I have two other Tusken Raiders. I have an original Sideshow one that's completely Sideshow, and that was the exclusive that came with this extra weapon accessory here that I'm now using with him. And then I kind of slapped together and bashed a second version, still using a Sideshow sculpt, this one here. And I made two. And I think I showed them in a video a long time ago. If you go back, you'll see that I showed both of them together. So I wanted a third one to complete like the set, because there were three of them pretty much predominantly seen in the original Star Wars, right? And they each had the weapon. The one had the typical staff. The one had the long rifle, which my other kit bashed one is holding. And then this thing, which is the extra staff, whatever this thing is. It looks like a staff that was made from a hockey stick. Anyway, so this one is a Sideshow custom Tusken Raider that was done by Rorion, and he did a great job. I bought this off of him. And he did the typical dye job on the robe to give the robe more of a natural light beige look to match truer to form, truer to the accuracy of the film. And as you could see, he did some wear and tear, and he did some weathering and ripping on the clothes and gave it more of a, a weathered look, a realistic museum prop look overall, I guess, to the movie. And he did a very good job, and he even built it up on a Sand Trooper base, which goes quite well with the Tusken Raider. So I had bought this off him, and then what I wanted to do is that since it was basically like customized, I wanted to go like more custom, and I had this head sculpt for a long time. I bought this a while ago, and this is actually, I think the base of it is Sideshow. I don't remember quite how long ago he did this, but this was done by Elvis 1976. Shout out to Elvis Sepp. And everybody knows him in the community as he's like the king of kit bashing, right? And what he did was he took one of these heads, and again, I don't know if it's a Sideshow head reworked or if he got this from something else, because I mean, it looks very similar as far as the front of it. But as you can see, the eyes are slightly smaller. So there are minor differences. So the paint apps are a little different or changed by him. And these pieces here are metal. This is metal. This is metal. So I would imagine if he did use this, he probably took these out. Or he might have just used this section of it from something and then customized the rest. So this is metal here. Metal, 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 metal. And these spikes coming out of his head are metal. And then he wrapped it with real bandages. And I always thought it was so cool. So when he sold it, I bought it off him, and I had it for a long time, but then I never built up my third Tusken Raider to use it. And I was going to use it on one of the other two originally, or the bashed one. But then I had gotten a good deal on this other, another head sculpt of this. I think it was off Toy Anxiety that I bought it. So I never really utilized it. And it's really cool. And don't get me wrong, when Rorion did it, he used this. I mean, it came with this one, and don't get me wrong, I mean, it was beautifully done using the Sideshow one. But I just wanted to take it a step further and figured, well, you know what? If he customized this one, and he did put this on a Hot Toys body. So this is on a Hot Toys body, not the Sideshow original body. So it's much better articulated. And I wanted to say, let's go full on custom here, and then replace the head too. So you got a custom Hot Toys body, custom head with real metal and wrappings, done by Sepp, Elvis 1976. And the robes and everything have been redone, retreated, and reweathered with a custom base. Well, not a custom base, but a base that's borrowed from one of the Sand Troopers. Maybe I'll at one point see if I could get this changed with some sort of custom plate that actually says like Sand People instead, or Tusken Raider. And yeah, it's really nice. And I just wanted to show it real quick. And there's my Star Wars lineup right there. And you guys know, anybody who knows me, that I am just as much of a Star Wars freak as I am a horror freak or anything else. So I have tons of love for Star Wars. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show, and again, here's one more reference for comparison. And this actually is more movie accurate if you look at the movie stills. And don't get me wrong, this is a damn fine job, so I'm not knocking the sculpt at all. But you gotta love what Elvis did here. Really nice. And I'm glad I finally have something to use it with. It took a while, but I have it. So, and I have an extra Tusken Raider sculpt if I want to build a fourth. Or if somebody's watching this video, if you're looking for a Tusken Raider sculpt, hit me up. Hit me up on Facebook. I'm Ron Milan there, or again on here on YouTube under my Joebizz34 profile, or Sideshow Freaks. I'm also there as Joebizz34. I'm Joebizz34, I believe on I can't remember if it's Twitter or what's the other one there? Instagram. I think I'm Joebizz34 on Instagram too. But either way, you'll find me as Ron Milan, aka Joebizz34. And if you want to buy this, I'll sell this one to somebody, because I don't know if I don't need a fourth Tusken Raider. So I mean, I could keep it as a backup, but if somebody wants to buy one, let me know. Okay. Anyway, that's it. Wanted to show my cool Star Wars toys. There you go, the latest and the greatest. And I would say again, I've got lucky and found this guy on Hobby Link Japan. Really lucky. I don't even know what they were doing with one, but they had one. But, you know, if you can find a good deal in the aftermarket, I would say if you could find one anywhere between mid-2s to mid-3s and you really want the guy, get him before he disappears for good, because I really do think this particular figure is going to become more rare as time goes on. So anyway, that's it for me. Till next time, guys. Peace out.